Hello and welcome to another episode of today's GK. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment we bring to you objective questions on a daily basis to help you crack prelims. So let's begin with the practice question of last segment. Which of the following is our source of first generation biofuels? Sugar, starch, vegetable oil. Select the correct answer using code given below. 1 and 2 only, 2 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. So I hope you have answered it correctly in the comment segment. The correct answer for this question is D, that is 1, 2 and 3. Moving on to the explanation. Biofuels are any hydrocarbon fuel that is produced from an organic matter, living or once living material, in a short period of time, days, weeks or even months, is considered a biofuel. Biofuels may be solid, liquid or gaseous in nature. If we talk about the solid biofuels, wood, dried plant material and manure, they all count. If we talk about the liquid ones, bioethanol and biodiesel, and gaseous ones, biogas. These can be used to replace or can be used in addition to diesel, petrol or other fossil fuels for transport, stationary, portable and other application. Also, they can be used to generate heat and electricity. First generation biofuels are made from food sources such as sugar, starch, vegetable oils or animal fats using conventional technology. If we talk about first generation biofuels, they are basically made from edible items. Second generation biofuels are made from wide ranging varieties of feedstock. If we talk about third generation of biofuels, they can be made from algae. Alright, moving on. Common first generation biofuels include bioalcohols, biodiesel, vegetable oils, bioethers, biogas. Let's move on to the first question of today's GK. Which of the following countries are associated with the Kala Pani territory dispute? India and Nepal, India and Bangladesh, Bangladesh and Myanmar, India and Bhutan. So the correct answer for this question is A, that is India and Nepal. Moving on to the explanation. Recently, Nepal has raised the Kala Pani boundary dispute with India during the Joint Commission meeting held at New Delhi. Now, this is for the first time ever since 2019 that a raise of the dispute has been made from the capital of India at the Joint Commission meeting. The India wants to negotiate about it, but it says that this is much more a part of the Foreign Ministry dialogue. Moving on, Kala Pani, if we talk about, is located at an altitude of 3600 meter on the Kailash Mansarovar route. It borders Uttarakhand in India and Sudur Pashchim Pradesh in Nepal. Since the Indo-China War of 1962, Kala Pani has been controlled by India's Indo-Tibetan Border Police. If we talk about this particular area, this is the tri-junction of India, China and Nepal, and this is called the Kala Pani region in the Pithoragarh district of Uttarakhand. So, since the release of the new map of India in the year 2019, India was retaliated by Nepal, saying Kala Pani, Limpiadhura and Lipu Lake also belong to Nepal, as well as the Susta village in Bihar also belongs to Nepal. Moving on, Nepal claims that the river located towards the west of the territory is the main Kali River, and thus it falls in its territory. India claims a ridgeline towards the east of the Kala Pani territory and hence includes it in the Indian Union. What is interesting is that in the year 2015, when China and India were expanding trades via Lipu Lake, China gave its nod for India's sovereignty over the Kala Pani region. Moving on, let's talk about our next question. With reference to Election Commission, consider the following statements. The Chief Election Commissioner and 2 other election commissioners have equal powers and receive equal salary allowances which are similar to those of a judge of a high court. The Chief Election Commissioner is removed in the same manner as that judge of the Supreme Court. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is B, that is 2 only. Only the second statement is correct. Moving on to the explanation. Recently, the Election Commission directed state and union territory governments to seek its approval before initiating disciplinary action against chief electoral officers, stating that it had come across some instances of victimization of its officers for political reasons. Under Article 324, Election Commission is a permanent and an independent body established by the Constitution of India directly to ensure free and fair elections in the country. The Chief Election Commissioner is provided with the security of tenure. He cannot be removed from his office except in the same manner and on the same grounds as a judge of the Supreme Court. The Chief Election Commissioner and the two other election commissioners have equal powers and receive equal salary, allowances and other prerequisites which are similar to those of a judge of the Supreme Court. Let's move on to our next question. With reference to Open Skies Treaty, consider the following statement. India is a member of this treaty. It provides the signatory countries access to military bases for civil purposes. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is D, that is neither 1 nor 2. Russia has announced that it was pulling out of the Open Skies Treaty, stating that the pact which allows unarmed surveillance flights over member countries had been seriously compromised by the withdrawal of the United States. If we talk about the concept of Open Skies Treaty, it was in the year 1955 when President Eisenhower, he proposed this concept basically, that the flying aircrafts will be fitted with sensors in order to look for some kind of military equipment or any artillery throughout the area of the parties involved. That means they will collect reconnaissance, they will collect intelligence about the equipments. That means it was a capacity building measure, but Moscow rejected it by saying that it would be used for extensive spying. This idea was revived in the year 1989 and it came into practice in the year 2002. It was signed in 1992 and came into effect in 2002. It is an agreement that allows its 34 signatory countries to monitor arms development by conducting surveillance flights over each other's territories. Therefore, the treaty established an aerial surveillance system for its participant, and the Trump administration pulled out from this treaty in the year 2020 in the month of November, and now Russia is also pulling out of it, making this region of this contemporary geopolitical scenario very, very unstable. Moving on, India is not a member of this treaty. Let's look at our next question. Consider the following pairs. Nagi Nakti Bird Sanctuary, Jharkhand, Vindhyas Wildlife Sanctuary, Haryana, Daranghati Wildlife Sanctuary, Himachal Pradesh. Which of the pairs given above is or are correct? A1 and 2 only, B2 and 3 only, C 1 and 3 only, D none of the above. The correct answer for this question is B 2 and 3 only. Recently, Bihar's first state-level bird festival, Kalrav, commenced at the world's famous Nagi Nakti Bird Sanctuary in the Jamui district of Bihar. The Nagi Nakti Bird Sanctuary has been the home of a wide variety of indigenous species of birds and of migratory birds that turn up during the winters from places like Eurasia, Central Asia, the Arctic Circle, Russia, and northern China. If we talk about the wildlife sanctuary and the state it belongs to, Nagi Nakti Bird Sanctuary belongs to Bihar. Vindhyas Wildlife Sanctuary belongs to Haryana in Jhajjar district. The Ranghati Wildlife Sanctuary belongs to Himachal Pradesh. Moving on, let's look at our next question. With reference to Henley Passport Index of 2021, consider the following statements. Japan continues to hold the number 1 position on the index, with passport holders able to access 191 destinations around the world visa-free. India ranks 85th with a visa-free score of 58. Look at the options please. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is C, that is both 1 and 2. Both the statements are correct. Moving on to the explanation. The Henley Passport Index is the original ranking of all the world's passports according to the number of destinations their holders can access without a prior visa. Originally created by Dr. Christian H. Kaelin, chairman of Henley and partners, the ranking is based on exclusive data from the International Air Transport Association, which maintains the world's largest and most accurate database of travel information. It was launched in the year 2006 and includes 199 different passports. Japan continues to hold the number 1 position on the index, with passport holders able to access 191 destinations around the world visa-free. Singapore is in the second place with a score of 190. South Korea ties with Germany in third place with a score of 189. And India ranks 85th with a visa-free score of 58. The Indian passport ranked higher in both 2020 and 2019, when it held 84th position in 2020 and 82nd in 2019. Moving on. Consider the following statements about Central Adoption Resource Authority, CARA. It has been set up as a statutory body of Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. It is designated as the central authority to deal with inter-country adoptions in accordance with the provisions of the Hague Convention. Which of the following statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is B, that is 2 only. Only the second statement is correct. Moving on to the explanation. Central Adoption Resource Authority celebrated its 6th annual day, and CARA has been set up as a statutory body of the Ministry of Women and Child Development. It functions as a nodal body for the adoption of Indian children and is mandated to monitor and regulate in-country and inter-country adoption. CARA is designated as the central authority to deal with inter-country adoptions in accordance with the provisions of the Hague Conventions on Inter-Country Adoptions 1993, ratified by the Government of India in 2003. So if we talk about the Hague Conventions, this is a multilateral treaty which came into existence on 1st December 1983, and it looks to protect the children who have been abducted, that means taken away from the country of their habitual residence, and it applies to the children below the age of 16 years. Moving on, let's talk about it more. CARA primarily deals with adoption of orphan, abandoned and surrendered children through its associated recognized adoption agencies. Moving on, let's look at our next question. Which of the following states has announced a MICE tourism policy for the period 2021 to 2025? Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. So, the correct answer for this question is A, that is Gujarat. Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has announced the tourism policy for 2021-25, seeking to position the state as the country's foremost tourist destination with a focus on investment and livelihood opportunities. What is MICE tourism? The acronym MICE stands for Meetings, Incentives, Conferences and Exhibitions, and is essentially a version of business tourism that draws domestic and international tourists to a destination. The policy aims to make Gujarat one of the top 5 MICE tourism destinations in the country. To incentivize international events, the government has announced an assistance of Rs 5,000 to the event organizer per foreign participant staying overnight, subject to an upper limit of Rs 5 lakh. For domestic events, the policy promises financial assistance of Rs 2 lakh per event, capped at 3 events per organization or per organizer per year. Look at our next question, please. With reference to ASMI, consider the following statements. It is India's first indigenous 9mm machine pistol. The 3D printing process has been used in designing and prototyping of various parts. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A1 only, B2 only, C both 1 and 2, D neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is C, both 1 and 2. India's first indigenous 9mm mission pistol has been jointly developed by Infantry School, MHAO and DRDO's Armament Research and Development Establishment, Pune. Machine pistols are primarily self-loading version of pistols, which are either fully automatic or can also fire bursts of bullets. If we talk about its key points, the pistol is named ASMI, meaning pride, self-respect and hard work. Its features include it fires the in-service 9mm ammunition with an overall empty weight of less than 2 kg. It features an 8-inch barrel and 33 rounds high-capacity magazine. It has an upper receiver made from aircraft-grade aluminium and lower receiver from carbon fiber. 3D printing process has been used in designing and prototyping of various parts, including trigger components made by metal 3D printing. Please keep this point very specifically in mind. And if you can see, we are trying to become an Atmanirbhar Bharat in the defense sector as well. That means FDI or foreign direct investment in the defense sector has been raised from 49% to 74%. And then production and manufacturing unit has also been established, under which government will procure defense equipments, and it will also take out or chalk out a list of those equipments which cannot be imported and only be purchased in domestic markets. So that is why we are trying to become Atmanirbhar Bharat through so many indigenous investments and indigenous innovations. Moving on. The weapon has huge potential in armed forces as personal weapon for heavy weapon detachments, commanders, tanks, aircrafts, crews, counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism operations, etc. The machine pistol is likely to have production costs under Rs 50,000 each and has potential for exports as well. Moving on to our next question, it says, the world's oldest known cave art has been found recently in which of the following countries? Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. So, the correct answer for this question is D, that is Indonesia. Recently, archaeologists have discovered the world's oldest known cave art, which is a life-sized picture of a wild pig that was painted at least 45,500 years ago in Indonesia. The picture was found in the Liang Tedongge cave in a remote valley of the island of Sulawesi, Indonesia. The previously oldest dated rock art seen at least 43,900 years ago was a depiction of hybrid human-animal beings hunting Sulawesi warty pigs and dwarf bovids. It was discovered by the same research team at a nearby limestone cave site. Let's look at the picture. This is the picture. Let's move on. Consider the following US presidents: Bill Clinton, Andrew Johnson, Richard Nixon, Donald Trump. Whom of the above presidents have been impeached by the House of Representatives? 1, 2 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 4 only, 2, 3 and 4 only, all of the above, So, the correct answer for this question is B, because we have already covered it in our in-news segment. I hope you have been able to answer it through that. So, the three presidents, Bill Clinton, Andrew Johnson, and Donald Trump, have been the three presidents of the US to be impeached. Donald Trump has become the first president of the USA in history to be impeached twice by the House of Representatives. He was charged for inciting an insurrection. If we talk about his impeachment of the year 2019, he was impeached, or the proceedings were initiated for impeachment. Later on, he was acquitted. He was impeached under abuse of power. Alright? And if we talk about the key points, mechanism of impeachment of president in USA is important from the perspective of our exam. So the two houses, the legislature of the USA, that means the Congress of the United States, it consists of two houses, the Senate, in which each state, regardless of its size, that means the population or the territorial size, it is represented by two senators, and House of Representatives, to which members are elected on the basis of population. The reasons for impeachment, if we talk about the US Constitution, it states that the president can be removed for conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes or misdemeanor. If we talk about the early impeachments, three USA presidents, Donald Trump in the year 2090, Bill Clinton in 1998, and Andrew Johnson in 1868, previously were impeached by the House but acquitted by the Senate. Thus, no US president ever has been removed from office through impeachment, because only the initiation or the resolution has been passed, after which a trial is conducted, which is presided by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and the president is also entitled to have two lawyers in his defense. So once the trial is conducted, then only the outcome is there. For any of these presidents, the outcome was not resulting into removal. So be very specific with the words removal and initiation of impeachment. Alright, moving on. Let's look at the practice question for our next segment. The adaptation gap report is being published by which of the following bodies? World Economic Forum, United Nations Environment Programme, World Bank, United Nations Development Programme. So, I hope you will be able to answer it correctly in the comment segment. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.